Hi.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Knock Knock Hi with the Glaucomfleckens. I am Will Flannery, also known as Dr. Glaucomflecken.
I'm Kristen Flannery, also known as Lady Glaucomflecken.
Thank you for joining us today. We got a great episode. I'm excited. I've been circling this one. I circle all the episodes on my calendar, especially the ones where we talk to each other.
Oh, do you? Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
On your digital calendar?
Oh, yeah. Always circling things. No, I've been really looking forward to this one because we're talking to one of my favorite healthcare social media people.
Yes.
Jen Hamilton. She is a labor and delivery nurse / TikTok personality / whatever you want to call it.
Swaddler?
Chicken Swaddler. Yes. She's got great content, informative, comedic. Always appreciate a funny person in healthcare. I love a funny person in healthcare. And so we got to talk with her about labor and delivery.
Mm-hmm. We did.
Let's see. Do you know much about your birth? Your personal birth?
I don't.
Like, is there any photo or video documentation of it?
Well, there are photos of like after I was born, like in the hospital bed, you know.
Gotcha.
All I know is that my grandfather, who was my mom's father-in-law, delivered me and my siblings, and incidentally, my mom.
Okay, so your mom's father-in-law,
my dad's dad,
delivered your mom's babies.
Correct, babies, multiple, 3 times.
People were more comfortable around each other back then.
You know, I got some questions, I guess, but I don't think I want to know the answers. But I feel like people would have questions about that. But I'm good, Mom. If you're listening, I don't need any details.
So that would be like one of my parents.
It'd be like if your dad delivered our children.
No, I don't think that would be a good thing.
I don't think.
First of all, he's an engineer.
That would be really a problem. Like, there's something gone really sideways if your dad is delivering any baby.
The whole labor and delivery situation it's too erratic and unpredictable for an engineer's brain.
Oh, that's true too.
To tolerate.
Yeah, I wonder how he was when you guys were born. When his children were born, if that was just like too much for him to handle.
I think there's a video of. Not the actual birthing part. God, maybe that exists. I'm not sure, but certainly like right after, like I think I've seen a home video of me like in the bassinet, like screaming my head off.
Mm-hmm. You still do that sometimes.
Like
I put you in there. You don't like it much. I shake it a little to rock you.
Little adult sized bassinet.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Jen helps me swaddle you.
And I do have the scrub top that my dad was wearing.
Oh yeah.
At my birth.
Doesn't it have the hospital's name?
It has the hospital name on it. Yep. So I've got it in our room. So that's kind of cool.
That's kind of sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet he was a nervous wreck though.
I think so. Yes. Mm-hmm. That tracks.
If you were a nervous wreck, you didn't show it. So.
Well,
But you were a little more familiar with the healthcare.
I've delivered babies before.
Right.
I've delivered like 3 babies.
Which was a little bit maddening to me, honestly.
Why?
Because I wanted you to be a little more, I don't know, not nervous, but like...
I was too comfortable in the situation?
When you're in healthcare, it's just like, well, nobody's dying, so everything's fine. And I'm like, everything is not fine.
You wanted me to stay at the head of the bed.
My body is exploding. This is not fine. And you were just like, cool as cucumber. Like, this is no big deal.
Well, I try to, as best I can, counterbalance your extreme anxiety. So
I was anxious about the pain.
Yeah.
But I wasn't actually anxious.
Yeah, you did amazing.
I'm good in critical situations. Well, not that it was critical. It was they were both normal births, but I'm good in those kinds of situations.
Yeah. No, you did awesome. I felt bad for you.
It hurt a lot.
Yeah, it took so long. But anyway, should we get to our guests?
Let's stop talking
about someone else's labor and delivery experience. All right, here she is, Jen Hamilton. Today's episode is brought to you by the Nuance Dragon Ambient Experience, or DAX for short. To learn more about how DAX Copilot can help reduce burnout and restore the joy of practicing medicine, stick around after the episode or visit nuance.com/discover DAX. That's nuance.com/discover DAX. All right, we are here with one of my favorite people on TikTok, Jen Hamilton.
Hi.
I have to say, I hope you don't mind. This is going to go in like a lot of different directions. I got a lot of things I want to talk to you about. But first of all, I just thought I'd tell you like how I found you, which are the swaddling videos.
Yes.
I'm sure you probably hear that a lot.
I do. I get asked to like speak at nursing conferences, and it's so funny. Like the nursing people are people who I think come to me for the nursing stuff. They're like, no, I originally found you from the chickens and swaddling things that shouldn't be swaddled.
What was the first swaddle you did on TikTok?
I think it was a cat.
I don't think I've seen the first one. The cat, yeah.
Wow,
cat.
that seems tricky. I would imagine cats don't really particularly enjoy being swaddled.
Depending on the cat, you know? It depends on the cat for sure.
You have a nice, like, old, fat, docile kind of cat that you can just sausage up in a blanket or what?
I have a really fat cat who I think because of her body habitus makes it so she is a very good swaddler. She's
nice.
So
any other animal species you've
husband species,
okay, good.
Child species. We do that sometimes.
That's good. So you mentioned speaking at nursing conference. I speak a lot at physician conference. I don't think I've ever done a nursing conference. How are those audiences? I imagine they're a lot of fun.
Super fun. Yeah. The wildest nursing conference I ever went to was like an emergency nurses conference. If you want to see wild, that's the place to go. They, every conference has like a party night or something where they like, have like a gala or whatever. The ER nursing one, it was like at where were we? We were in St. Louis, and it was like at a Coyote Ugly type bar. Okay. So there was like a bull, like a mechanical bull.
Perfect.
And like a very sexy lady on the bull, and like people getting trashed. It was crazy. But yeah, they're typically like just a fun group of people to be around. Nurses.
That's a theme in emergency medicine, though. Because the physicians, because I did the emergency medicine conference for the physicians, and it's a similar vibe for sure.
Yeah, I used to be an ER nurse.
Yeah, I was about to say, you start your career as an ER nurse, or
a very newborn baby nurse. I was, knee deep in, penises and drugs up people's butts, and it was wild. It was wild.
Probably other things up people's butts as well, not just the drugs. But
I'll tell you the wildest ones. Do you want to know?
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Always love a good emergency story. It's good.
An ink pen in a female urethra, all the way up into the bladder, just like straight up into the bladder with such force that it broke in two.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah.
Ink everywhere.
Yeah. And then there was this one who would come a lot who was a resident of the local correctional facility and just really didn't want to be at that correctional facility, and would take bits of concrete from his jail cell that he could like scrape up and then put that inside of his phallus thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But he would get to come and have surgery.
Why on earth did you leave emergency medicine nursing?
I know why. Man, it was such a good time.
How long were you doing that?
6 years. And then the last year I was there, I was the assistant director, and that is what made me leave. Man, I hated it so much. Oh gosh, it was awful.
Was that like your first like leadership role?
So they stuck me in charge at 1 year of nursing experience. And I thought, what an honor. What an honor. They trust me so much that they have placed me in this position of authority. No, it is because no one else would do it. And I was just that naive. And
I'm sure all the more senior nurses were laughing quietly behind your back.
I am sure of it. They're like, haha, we got her to do it. So they didn't have to. But yeah,
1 year.
I was in charge for 5 years or so, and then,
Mhm.
that last year I was big charge, but I did not like that at all.
And then 6 years, and you were like, "I gotta do something different?"
I was ready to do anything else, like squirrel heart caths, I will be your nurse, I was ready for anything. And then,
Swaddle chickens.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I actually looked for jobs on like the job page for my hospital, and I was only looking for schedule. Like that's what I filtered it
Yeah.
by, was like schedule. And I found a weekend option position for labor and delivery, and I was like, you know what? In nursing school, I remember it being pretty wet, just like a really wet place to work. And so
Yeah.
I wasn't like super jazzed to try it because I didn't think I would like it. And then I went there and I shadowed, and the nurse that I was shadowing was like, okay, let's go meet our patient. And there was not an S at the end of
Mm.
that.
It's just
I was
one.
like, where are all the other ones that we are going to have? And they're like, no, no, no. We get one on a bad day, maybe two. And I was like, oh, where do I sign? Sign me up.
That
That
was,
was it. I was
attractive
sold.
to you. Was
It
the
was so attractive. But then,
what
you fall in love with it too.
was the degree of wetness what you had anticipated?
More, more.
Yeah, it was more wet.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Is
I
it's
I love this idea.
exponentially more.
I love this idea. Let's rank the nursing areas based on wetness.
Labor and delivery would be number one. I
Top of
guarantee it.
top of the
Yeah.
list. Okay. All right.
Yesterday I was working and I had a sweet patient. We were going to break her water, right? So I
Mhm.
always put a towel under there just to catch everything and break her water. And if you turn on your sink at like half power and like
Mhm.
do your fingers in it, like that noise is what it sounded like coming off of the bed. It was the whole bed wet and then dripping off the bed on both sides. I said, "You win." That was a lie.
I,
That was a
I
lie.
take it that's not uniform in the amount of wetness when you
You know,
break
it really
the
varies.
membranes.
You can break water and just get a couple drips out, and then you can break water and do Niagara Falls.
Okay.
Just depends.
What's
Wow.
what's the least wet area of nursing do you
Ooh,
think?
that's a good question.
Because I
Maybe I'll.
imagine emergency's probably up on high on the list too.
It's very
There's a
very
lot of
high.
wetness there.
Yeah,
It's a
maybe
lot of
I was
liquid.
gonna say like long term care because a lot of
Yeah.
elderly people are pretty dried up. But there is a
Yeah.
lot of poop there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Did the
I
poop
haven't.
ever does that bother you as a nurse?
No, no, and there's a lot of people who think that it's going to, but if I
Right.
wasn't okay with poop, I definitely wouldn't work on labor and delivery because there is a lot of poop,
Mm,
you know?
That's true too.
Yeah.
Baby and mama poop so much.
It happens.
Yeah.
That might actually be surprising to some people listening.
Maybe. Do you think? If there's a bunch of medical people listening, I feel like they should know
Well,
that. If they
I'm
don't know
talking
that,
mainly for the non-medical people.
yeah. Well, yes, sure. When I was a new mom, not when I was a new mom. Before, when you get to the age that you start thinking, maybe I want to have kids at some point,
Mm.
right? Like, and you
Mhm.
kind of start
You
dipping
start
your
research,
toes into
yeah,
the information.
learning about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's one of the
And
first things you learn.
there are many
There's
things
going to
that
be
just
poop.
make you rethink that for a few years. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
What
Yeah.
was one of the more surprising things about starting on labor and delivery?
That's a great question.
Anything shocking to you? Like, oh, I didn't know I'd be doing this or that this would happen.
Yeah, I did not know that I would be such an operating room nurse. Like that is something that I didn't anticipate because you think labor and delivery just baby catching all the time. No, I mean, the first day that I went into the operating room and just kind of saw what I was going to be doing, I was like, there's no way. There's no way that I can learn all this. Like I was learning a
Mhm.
whole new specialty and then I felt like I was put in another whole new specialty. But then whenever you learn the OR, you kind of feel like a badass a little bit. You're like,
Mm.
hey, this is kind of cool, Like being in a room where someone is wide awake while their whole insides are outsides is crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And then after a year of labor and delivery, they made you charge nurse.
Yeah.
Is
You
that
know
right?
what? I have so refused. And this last weekend, so on Saturday, they were like, "Hey, you're gonna be in charge tomorrow." I was like, "Anyone else?" Literally, and I conned someone else into taking it from me because 'cause I'm like, I don't wanna do it." I love being a regular schmegular person at work. I just come in, I take care of my patient, and I go home. It's so nice.
That is nice.
Tell us about your schedule.
Oh. Saturdays, Sundays. That's it.
So that, I
One
mean,
patient, 2 days a week.
Basically. Yeah, on a bad day
yeah.
too. And I don't even wanna call it a bad day because it's rarely a bad day, but, yeah, it's
Was it hard to get that schedule? Because I hear a lot. Obviously, healthcare right now, like across the board, everyone's struggling. It feels
yeah,
like
yeah.
burned out, everything. And so was it? Did you start on that schedule, or were you working more frequently? I'm not sure. Just how does it work in labor and delivery as a
Yeah.
nurse?
So, pretty much any area of nursing that you do, if it's in a hospital, it's gonna be like 3 12-hour shifts is like a full-time schedule. For me being assistant director, I was there almost all the time. Like because I was
Mm,
picking up a lot of those shifts where we were really short. So I was working on the floor also in my office. So, um, for me going into labor and delivery, it was a what they call 0.75 schedule. So it's not quite all the way full time,
mm,
but it's not considered part time either. It's kind of like in the middle. But I was working Saturdays and Sundays, and then one day during the week, every other week. So and then, I was so burned out on nursing at some point, I was like, "Even this is too much." So, now I just work Saturdays and Sundays. It is such a good schedule because I get to be basically like a stay-at-home mom during the week, and then, I still get that, like, feel of having adult conversations with adults, so that's nice, being able to go somewhere
yeah.
where there's mainly adults, and then,
That is
you know
preferable to having adult conversations with children,
that is
so
true. That is very true.
yeah,
I could be
I get
having
that.
those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about. I want to pivot a little bit to your TikTok, because I was before we started talking. I was just going through like the last like several weeks of your content and seeing what I missed, and thankfully not much. But there was one you posted recently that were Jen's rules for being either a nurse influencer or just posting as a nurse on TikTok.
Yes.
And I want you to I loved it. I reposted it myself, and because it's applicable to a lot of people, just pretty much anybody in healthcare actually can
Mhm.
follow these rules. So
Yeah.
I want to go through some of these.
Yeah,
And we like
absolutely.
talk about them.
Yeah.
So the first one was don't TikTok at work.
Mhm.
Great rule.
Yes.
Um, Especially if you're an employee. I have been on a few occasions. I have posted TikToks of myself at work. I feel like it's a little bit.
In the building in which you work, but you're not, like, TikToking while you're working.
Oh, that's true. That's true. In the building, yes, but
But,
not
like,
while
after
working.
hours when there's nobody in
But you
there.
see so many people making that mistake, right? Like that's like the
Exactly.
first thing you get yourself into trouble,
Mhm.
especially if you're an employee and I feel like it just always ends badly. So well done. That's like a great like first rule.
Yeah. You wanna know
Next,
something funny?
yeah, please.
Is that so I've never TikToked at work, never. But, I'll do skits in my own home, but I'll do green screen of, like, a
Hmm.
random hospital
Yeah.
room, right? I got called into the office at work, and they were like, you can't be TikToking at work." And I was like, "I'm not."
What?
I had to explain what a green screen was, and it wasn't even our hospital, like, it was a grainy hospital random
Uh-huh.
room photo. So, yeah. I don't
This
That's
TikTok
what
at
the
work.
best part of that is that they didn't even recognize that that's not their own hospital, like, that's a whole
Right.
separate hospital.
eventually, leadership in healthcare at large will be well versed in social media. It's going to
I hope
happen
so.
eventually, and
Yeah,
so those types of misunderstandings won't happen.
I hope so.
Um, Rule number 2 that you said: hide your badge.
Uh-huh. Take it
That's a
off.
good one.
Take
Take
it
it
off.
off.
I see so
People
many
know who
people.
you are, right? They don't
Yeah,
need to know. They don't need to see the badge, and it's yeah.
exactly. And if you're doing, like, a skit or something, you can always, like, make your own, like, little nursey badge or something, but, even if you turn your badge around or you cover it or you, like, try to hide exactly the part that says where you work on there, people are gonna find you. People are gonna find you, and it's just one more reason that your hospital could say, you can't do that."
Mhm.
Was that the only time you had kind of got in trouble at work with your content? Was whenever they thought the green screen was real life?
Um, there was I had done a video where I was wearing my badge, but I taped the whole thing up,
Mm,
and they were like, "No, the shape of, like, the blue on it, somebody could I was like, "Oh my gosh." Okay. So
You
that's
also
why
need to
I
wear a
took it off
bag
forever.
over your head
Over your
Yeah.
and
head,
use a
yes.
voice modulator to
Mhm.
make, yeah,
Yes. I will be
it's
Marshmallow, the DJ,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the third one is one of my favorites. Post responsibly, basically, is what
Oh,
you're saying,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Making the point that, well, you make the point, yeah, that we all, if you're a healthcare worker, like you have a certain level of expertise, whatever that may be, and people are going to look up to us, right,
Mhm.
for accurate medical information.
Whether
And
you believe it or not, there
right,
are
right,
people that will trust what you say because you've gone to school for something like that.
right. And then so that means doing your like your research, make sure you have the most accurate information. And that's something I appreciate that you do. I could tell like and also that's part of it is also like not going like too far outside your wheelhouse,
So true. Oh my
right?
gosh.
Do you mean like
Especially
an
with
ophthalmologist who pretends to be
Okay,
every
okay, okay.
specialty?
Hold on. All right, slightly different. All right.
I'm not seeing it.
I
Comedy
see
is different. Comedy is a little bit different.
exactly.
Then I
Exactly.
would never like give like actual medical advice on, a labor and delivery
Oh,
floor.
I know. You don't give medical advice about anything
Anything.
to
Yeah.
even me in private because you don't have any.
I could tell you what kind of eye
Absolutely.
drops to buy.
There you go.
Stay away from Visine, Jen. I don't know.
Okay, I
Um,
will.
yeah.
Good advice.
But yeah,
He gets a phone call on a special line every time someone uses Visine. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
don't do that.
but
Okay.
I would say that's true, and it's very expensive. But the phone line, the phone company doesn't. I don't know. They get weirded out about it. But the it's I think it's very common actually for medical quote unquote influencers to have their social media presence is giving advice, not
Mhm.
like personal advice, but just like imparting knowledge about healthcare, about medicine.
Right. They're teaching.
They're teaching. And so you see it so often that people start to kind of like creep outside the area where they know what they're talking about. And you can tell it's kind of, they're getting a little bit outside their area. And it can be dangerous because I don't have the most up to date information about other
Don't
specialties.
I know it?
Clearly.
Clearly.
And so it's I think that's something a misstep that a lot of people take.
Absolutely. And like just like with physicians, nursing, there's so many different specialties. And so I have made videos before about, there will be people who ask me like, "Hey, can you talk to me about like tetralogy of Fallot, like something that happened in their baby or something." I know about it. I do not
Hmm.
treat babies with that. So I am not going to speak on it. Like I am
Right.
never going to give information about something that I don't actually see in real life. Of course I might see it, but I don't do it. So I think that that's where people get in a lot of trouble. Like they know just enough about a subject to be dangerous. And I think
Hmm.
that that is trouble. Recently, there was a nurse who works in long term care who made a video saying that prenatal care is not necessary. And that kind of triggered me a little bit, especially because I'm caring for those
Sure.
patients who don't get prenatal care, whether it's by choice or by circumstance or, like they don't have the resources. And I see what can happen. But recently, there has been more of this. I don't want to call it a trend, but that's the only word that is coming to my brain, but like a trend of where people are not getting prenatal care, because they trust their bodies. That's a lot of the saying that I'm hearing is they trust their bodies to do the right thing. And I wish that that's all that it took to have a healthy pregnancy. But it's not meaning that there's something inherently wrong with you, that sometimes things go awry, but saying it's not necessary to get prenatal care, someone could hear that from a nurse, "Oh, a nurse is saying this, so obviously they know." And like, "Oh yeah, I don't need to go get prenatal care. I can just trust my body." And so that's so dangerous, and I want especially nurses or healthcare providers to understand the gravity and the weight of their words and what their words can mean to somebody who is trying to make really important decisions for themselves.
Mhm. Well said.
I think that's why it's so important for healthcare professionals to be on social media because there are plenty of people who are on there talking about things, maybe in less responsible ways. And so if that's all that's available for people to find, then we're going to see more and more of these kinds of behaviors, right? So you have to kind of counteract it with accurate information.
Yeah, we need to be out there, but do it responsibly for
Right.
Yeah,
sure.
there's a lot of people who are getting their medical education from TikTok. I mean, like,
Right.
that's where
Yeah.
they get diagnosed with something or they're worried about something, and TikTok is kinda like a Google search now. I mean, you can
Right.
type stuff into, the search bar and find all sorts of stuff about it. I love to do that for restaurants, but not so much medical information.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Time and a place.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Don't start drama. That's another
Oh,
another
yes.
tip that you have for people. I will
Mhm.
make one caveat about this. Unless it's insurance companies, then you could like start
Drama.
start
Yes,
all the
start it.
drama. Like get it
Yes.
going. People need to talk about the drama, but in general, I agree with you.
Yes. Start good trouble for good
That's
things.
right.
Yeah.
There's good trouble and there's bad trouble, but there is a lot of drama out there.
Yeah. Human nature just amplifies it.
Yeah,
Well, it does
especially
because
in the healthcare community, like, there's
yeah,
so much drama.
yeah, and people engage with it, and
Yeah.
that's like the biggest change. Yeah, I started social media on Twitter, now X, and that's one of the biggest changes I've seen is now that it's monetized, it's just all like engagement farming now
Mhm.
and clickbait and
Rage bait.
it's
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Right.
the rage bait. So much. All right, let's take a short break. We'll come right back. All right, we are back with Nurse Jen Hamilton. So, Jen, what percentage of the comments that you get or messages on social media are just people sharing their birth stories with you?
So much,
Yeah,
so much. And
yeah,
I so appreciate that people are, trusting of me to share really, really vulnerable things. And a lot of times what I find is that I learn so much from what people have gone through on how to be better. Because a lot of birth trauma, and this is what I speak on whenever I go places, is about a birth that was very normal, and I'm putting that in air quotes for people that are listening, a normal birth that was not communicated in an empathetic or compassionate way, right? So, birth is not something we do every day. It's a lot of times not something that people do many times in their life. And so you don't know what you don't know. And there can be things that are really scary that happen during a normal labor and birth course that can feel very traumatizing. Or if you have somebody who's just not being kind with their words or listening to you or believing your pain. Like those are the things that really cause a lot of birth trauma. Like I say that, birth trauma is often not caused by an event, it's caused by people. So hearing people's stories has just allowed me to have more perspectives that I don't think a lot of nurses get to hear. So it's nice it's a lot, it's really heavy for sure, but
yeah.
I'm grateful for people sharing their stories.
You can relate to that.
Yeah, birth is something that we don't get to talk about. You're not supposed to talk about it in polite society, right? We don't really hear any conversation that might happen is usually like behind closed doors, like maybe with family members or like your mom or something, but or sisters. But it's not like out in the open. I mean, it's getting better these days, but historically, it hasn't been something that people get to hear a lot about, and so even when it's not a traumatic experience, just it's the weirdest thing because, people have been doing it for all of human history, but at the same time, it is the weirdest, most bizarre moment of your life, right? Like you grow this little parasite and then it pops out and it's like this old man Benjamin Button looking
Yeah,
creature
right.
that you feel intense desire to just protect,
Mhm.
and then but then your body has just exploded in one way or another or many. And in my case, I mooed like a cow for a while, sort of, right? Like you
Hey,
make
that
these
helps. Yeah,
sounds.
yeah,
It wasn't voluntary. I wasn't trying.
yeah.
It's
Jen, could
the
you?
most bizarre thing, and nobody can talk about it
Yeah.
afterward.
Yeah.
Like, how do you process that if you're not supposed to be, sharing all of that information?
Mhm.
Jen, could you swaddle a cow?
I
Oh,
could
good
try.
question.
I think you can swallow
Maybe a
anything
calf.
if you try hard enough, you know?
Well, Kristen, I was going to say you could relate. Obviously, yes, because you have birthed children, but also because you get a lot of stories
Yeah, I
from
do.
people about, because
Yeah,
we go around talking about when she did, chest compressions on me and saved me when I
Pretty
had my cardiac
traumatic.
arrest.
it was
Yeah.
very dramatic. Yeah.
And so we do get a lot of emails and
I hear a
messages
lot
and
of stories of people who did the same thing. And in most cases, just as we know the statistics, most of those stories, the loved one or the person did not survive. And I hear, the stories about that. And it's kind of similar, like uh, I'm honored that they want to share that with me. And I am very passionate about talking about that things, right, that we're not supposed to talk about and putting them out in public so that they don't have to be these secretive, shameful things. Uh, but then at the same time, it's very triggering, because that is my trauma
Yeah.
as well. And so just to have to relive my own trauma all the time because I've made the decision to do that in order
Mhm.
to, you know, advocate for people that have gone through these things. But then as part of that, I also take on everyone else's stories. And yeah, it's like you said, it's heavy, but it's also kind of a privilege, I think.
I talk about eye herpes sometimes.
You can get eye herpes?
You can. You can.
Oh
Not
my
to,
gosh.
that
Oh,
you get
no.
all kinds of sexually transmitted infections. Actually, herpes is not the sexually transmitted one. That would be like gonorrhea, chlamydia. I really quickly turned this into a gross eyeball
You
thing.
always do.
Sorry about that.
So do you always feel like you're now having to, like, forever, make it up to her? Because she is, like, the reason that you're here. That's
You
so
you would
what a
think so, wouldn't
dynamic.
you? You
Wouldn't
sure would.
Yeah.
Hmm,
Yeah.
what an
It's
interesting thought that might be to start doing that now. How long ago did that happen?
yes. It
4
was 4
years.
years ago
4
now.
years. So now you not only do you have to spend every day from now that you know that you should do that, but also make up for the 4 years that maybe you haven't. So
Oh, good
every
point.
day.
Gotta double up
Yeah,
for a
That's true.
while.
That's true.
exactly.
I mean, like all of this, basically this whole social media thing that we've built up, like it happened since the cardiac arrest. So none of that would have happened,
Wow.
Yeah.
So you
unless
owe everything to that beautiful lady
I
next to
I
you.
absolutely do. But I was gonna say, because I asked you like what people send you messages about. Well, you know what? Like most of the time, a lot of the messages I get are, can you have like a medical bioinformatics character at
Oh,
your
yeah, yeah.
hospital?
Like,
Okay.
super
Or
specific.
can you have a cardiologist who's like fellowship trained in veins? Yeah, I don't
Yes.
know. Like I
So
just
so applicable to most people.
exactly. But one of the things I get asked a lot is like, when are you going to have a nurse character?
Oh, yes.
Ooh, this is good. Like,
Yes.
I wanna hear her thoughts
We need to
on
unpack this
you
Yes.
playing a nurse character.
because there's this like dogs and cats. Like
Yeah.
there's this centuries old perceived conflict, whatever, like back
Well,
and forth
what's okay, perceived
relationship. I
conflict
don't.
maybe, but what's real is there is a power differential.
Dynamic. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. That there definitely is, and
But I think there's a right way to do it. I do. Because I think that you could play into a lot of the cultural things that happen between doctors and nurses that are funny. Like I especially I've been a nurse for 12 years now, and I have seen many doctors in many different eras of their
mhm,
doctoring. Okay. So I've seen, a lot of the dynamic. And I think that one way to do that is to talk about, how much nurses do know. And that sometimes doctors do take that for granted, especially if they're coming fresh, they're green, they're a little
mhm.
newborn baby of doctor. Um, and I've seen a lot of, nurses kind of come in and I don't wanna say save the day, but, like, help the doctor to, maybe catch
Yeah.
something that they hadn't caught
Oh,
before.
sure.
Because what you don't wanna do as a doctor especially is, play into the negative stereotypes of nurses.
Right. It's somewhat of a minefield as a physician to to depict a nurse in my content, and I have done that a few times actually.
Yeah.
I have been a charge nurse a couple
Yep.
times.
I think I've seen some OR
Some
nurse.
OR
Yeah, I've
charge
seen that.
nurse.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that's actually very popular.
I like that one.
Yeah. And then I did one where it was outside. I think I've only done one that was like outside of the OR nursing, and it was a med student or a resident, I can't remember, interrupting nurses sign out. And
Yeah.
then the next shot is the nurse that I was playing cleaning blood off of her hands. And then you see the shoes from the
Med
pretend
student.
body behind the sink.
Right.
So anyway, as you know, that's like the one time, and I don't know. I feel like it's just like you said, there's a lot of the power dynamics make it difficult. And it's not just between doctors and nurses. Like you see that with between even like residents and attendings and med students and attendings and patients and
Yep.
anybody in medicine, right? And so trying to navigate those can be really challenging.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame you for not going headlong into that, because I know that that can be really
it's
tricky.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just waiting for you to start creating all these characters and nurses.
Hey,
And
it might happen.
I could send you some props. I have a lot.
Do you? Okay.
I have a
Excellent.
closet back here full of props, actually. So,
love
you
that.
know, I'm happy to help.
He says props. I say trash, potato,
Okay.
potato.
You know.
It's all like empty salt canisters and discarded children's toys.
How are you feeling though about social media in general? How, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being just pure fun, 10 being it's a 9 to 5 job. Like, where are you? How do you feel about your social media presence?
I love that we're going like pain scale for this. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Can we do pediatric pain scale with smiley faces?
yeah, like the
Right,
faces.
exactly.
Yeah. So you said 1 is fun, 10 is not. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna give it a 2 because it's almost always fun. I feel like I've done a pretty good job of trying to prioritize my life and put it in a correct spot, right? So
Yep.
I'm not the kind of person who's like following my family around with a camera or like trying to make everything into content. And I think that that's kind of where kind of people get burned out, where they harm their families, you know, and stuff like that. It's
Right.
just weird. Also, I haven't monetized as much as I know that some of my friends have. And yeah, that would definitely financially help me, but I don't want to turn it into something that I have to do to like survive. I still work as a nurse. I have no plans of stopping doing that. And it's still fun for me. I did have to take a break a little while ago. It was just too much. Like I put too much pressure on it, and I found myself like on my phone constantly. No, I'm still on my phone
Yeah.
constantly. Don't get me wrong. It's
We all are.
less than it
We all
was. But I feel like doing
Not constantly, just constantly.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like a step
Almost
below
constantly.
constantly.
like I can't go to the bathroom without my phone. Are you the same way? Like I
Of
can't
course.
take 5 minutes without scrolling, you know. So that is alarming to me, but it's
You can do 2 things at once. It's
yeah,
fine.
exactly. It's still fun. It's still fun at this point. And if
Yeah.
at any point it doesn't become that anymore, I feel like I could walk away because I have not set up my life to be dependent on social media, meaning like
That is
financially.
key.
Okay. So
That's really smart.
we haven't moved. We haven't bought new stuff. We haven't like gone. I mean, we go on like a couple vacations, but not like anything crazy. I feel so bad for the people who have done that. Like, oh, I'm making, 20 grand a month or something. So I'm going to build my life around making 20 grand a month. So I'm going to go move and buy this house based on the fact that I'm going to continue making, more than 20 grand a month. And then it goes away. I'm not naive to think that all of this could be gone tomorrow. And if it was, it wouldn't change the way that my life is set up, I guess. So it's still
Yeah.
fun for me.
Good. Yeah, and you said one key thing is maintaining your connection to your content, right? And that's a big reason why I haven't cut back on my job either, clinically.
Yeah. I love
because
that.
it's I think it's really important. It gives you authenticity, and you have that trusted expertise in your area. And if you quit your day job to pursue, even if the opportunities might be more lucrative, it's not going to be as authentic.
I
And
feel
that first thing
exactly the
you
same
said
way.
is why I haven't let him quit his day job.
What did I say? I forgot.
About not setting up your financial life around social media.
That's right,
So
exactly.
true. So true.
All right. Last thing I want to do with you is just a little game here that's called labor and delivery myth or fact.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So I'm going to read off some of these statements, and I'm going to switch between you and Kristen.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
For you're going to tell me, is this a myth or is it a fact?
I can see the answers.
Don't read them. Just don't read them. Okay. Look, we don't have our printer set up right now, so I couldn't print it out and hide it from you. All right.
I
So
feel
you're
like
going to have
that's very real, not having your printer. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we've gotten through life so far with like I have a printer over there. It's
Yeah.
just basically storage for everything sitting on
Right.
top of it.
Yep.
The fax machine works, but the printer,
Yeah.
no. I'm just kidding. All right, Jen, here's the first one. Eating spicy food can induce labor.
I wish that was true. I wish it was true.
That is a myth, a very common myth, apparently.
Yes.
So
What is the thinking why would that theoretically work?
I think the stress on your body can kind of send you
Oh.
into something, or if you're eating something really like salty, spicy, like dehydration can cause contractions and stuff. I think that it's happened enough to people that they're like, oh, this is what sent me into labor. But you're not going to go into labor until your body is ready to go into labor.
There you go. All right, Kristen, the baby might come out faster if you laugh hard during labor.
I don't think that's even a myth. I think you made that up.
Well, maybe I'm just hopeful that people could watch my videos and it could help birth babies faster,
You know what?
but I don't think that's the case.
It is true in pushing.
Oh,
Can you believe
Because
it?
of the
Yeah.
the
I
Valsalva
have
kind of
had
maneuver.
people laugh their babies out. Okay.
They
I
must
think
have had a
laughter.
really good spinal block.
Yes, they did. They for sure did. I think laughing is good for everybody at any time. But yes, if you're laughing when you're pushing, you can definitely. I've also had people throw up their babies out.
Oh,
Oh,
That
okay.
works
that's
also.
less fun.
Laughing and throwing up are
So
great
it's just, I
pushing.
mean, it's like it's a form of like the maneuver
Right.
similar, right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
kind of pushing against your diaphragm or
So you
whatever.
can
I don't
kind
even
of
know
stay
what
true on that. Kinda.
Kind of true.
You know?
Kind of true.
Kinda.
All right. All right, Jen. Bouncing on a yoga ball can help start labor.
Oh, I wish that was true also. Because you
Yes,
see
that's a
people
myth.
bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce, bounce. It's
Yeah.
not going to send you into labor unless your body's ready for labor. It helps with gravity, right? So if you're going into labor, you're in labor, having that like gravity situation can help your baby get into position. It's not going to make your labor progress
Mm.
faster per se.
But is that to do with the ball, or is that just because you're sitting upright instead of laying down?
I think it's to do with the ball and then the up and down
Okay.
motion. Yeah.
So the bouncing.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot.
Mm.
I'm learning a lot. All right. Kristen, eating pineapple can help induce labor.
Well, you're doing a common, the same thing over and over, just changing it. Our friend Jen here has said many times,
Okay.
nothing will induce labor except for your
Okay.
body
All right.
being ready.
All right. We'll switch. Let me give you a different one. All right. Babies are more likely to be born during a full moon.
Myth.
Actually, that's true.
feel
No,
like
that
I feel like it
that's
should be true. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, in my own experience,
yeah.
it's crazy. Like, same thing in the ER. We aren't superstitious, but we're a little stitious.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I swear it was true. But statistically, if we're doing
Yes.
math, if we're doing studies, they say it's not true. But
And there have been studies done, by the way.
yeah,
There have been, yeah, I'm sure you know.
barometric pressure changes
Oh,
can cause some uh like this is what I've been told, like water breaking stuff. So we will get storms sometimes and we'll have like a run of people coming in because their water has broken. And they say, I don't know if if this was a study. I need to Google it. But that the barometric pressure changes in weather and stuff can change like pressure inside and maybe help people's water break.
Interesting.
Maybe non-conclusive.
Maybe. Yeah.
Heard through the
Possible.
grapevine.
Exactly.
Possible.
This
Don't
may or
quote
may
me
not
on
be
it.
true.
Don't quote me on it, but it feels true.
All right, Jen, how about this one? You can determine a baby's gender by the shape of the pregnant belly.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot. We
Also,
have
like the position, right? Like they say that like
if you're
girls carry
carrying
high.
higher or
Yeah.
lower. Yeah.
Right.
No.
None of that's
Baloney.
true.
Baloney.
It's all baloney. Okay, and last one.
Who's it for? You guys.
Everybody.
Okay.
This is not really like, labor and delivery, but a little before. Okay, but we're going to do it anyway. Frogs can be used to test for pregnancy.
This
is
is just
super
so
outside
random
the
and
box.
weird that it
Never
must be
heard of
true.
that. Is
Male
that how
and
they used
female
to do it?
male and female frogs were used to test for pregnancy until the 1950s. They were injected with a potentially pregnant person's urine, and if they were pregnant, visible eggs or sperm appeared.
What?
Whoa.
Frogs.
That's wild.
So like,
People fact check that claim for me, please.
yeah, that is wild.
All right. This is
And
like
who figured that
half-assed
out?
internet
Yeah.
research here.
Yeah.
Right.
But
What would that be though? Like, let's say it is true. What would it be
You're
like?
gonna
There's a
have-
pregnancy hormone in the urine that
You're
then
gonna have to ask
stimulates
an
something.
amphibians expert. I don't know. What do I look like? Babies are kind of amphibious. I mean,
Almost,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
true.
so maybe
Very true.
I don't know. Our producer just shared a link with us.
Okay. Apparently, there's an Atlantic article that talks about how a frog became the first mainstream pregnancy test.
Wow, look at
Wow.
that. There you
Doesn't
go.
say whether it was an accurate pregnancy test.
Right.
But it was
a
used.
test. Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Do you any other big myths that I missed? I don't know. That's all I have for you. But
I think
I'm
the
sure there's
biggest
so
one
many other
that
ones.
can cover so much is just knowing that ain't nothing gonna send you into labor until your
right.
body is ready. So don't be
Which
don't
is
be hurting
just
yourself.
a bummer.
I
Don't-
know.
Don't be
Even
drinking
us-
castor oil.
Yes, please don't. Oh my goodness. Please stop doing that. Yeah, even us trying to get you into labor. If your body is truly not ready, it's just not
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Well,
The problem is, though, that you are ready far before your
Right.
body is ready.
Right.
And
exactly.
right, exactly.
you will try anything to get that thing out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jen, what do you got going on in your life that you want people to know about?
I'm writing a book. So that's coming
Writing a
out.
book.
Yeah,
That's
eventually.
amazing.
I
Yes.
have my manuscript due in February. So I'm writing a book and it will be about. So I give all my patients promises in labor. Like I promise to be your advocate, promise to listen to you, promise never to keep secrets from you. And so it's about the patients that I've cared for that caused me to start making those promises. So it's patient stories mixed with like labor and birth information and stuff. So it's kind of like narrative slash prescriptive stuff. So that's really fun. And other than that, just living my best life, trying to survive on the internet.
That's good.
In your little
Yeah.
Good
woven
topic.
basket.
Yes. Yes.
And people can find you on all the social media or many of the social media platforms, but
Yeah.
TikTok is
If
where
they
I find you.
if they look Jen
Hamilton.
Hamilton up, they should be
You're
able
the
to find
only
me. I
Jen
got
Hamilton out there.
the only one. The
That's
only
it.
one. And I do have a blue check mark, so that should help.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. I feel like I'm trying to put a finger on like exactly why I like your content so much. It's informative and you're funny too. And that's I
Thank
always
you.
gravitate toward funny people. But also your accent. Like
Do I have one?
you do.
A little bit.
You
a little bit
do.
of a draw.
It's
Okay.
a little bit, but because we both grew up in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so we grew up around accent, like Southern accents.
The
You
North
don't sound like a
Carolina
Texan.
accent is
It's a little
different
bit
than the
different.
Texas accent,
Yeah.
But I always appreciate someone else that talks as slow as I do.
Perfect.
So it's great. Which I did
Yeah.
also hear recently that actually portends like truthfulness and expertise. If you talk,
Slow
yeah,
talkers?
yeah,
I'll just keep talking even slower.
yeah, exactly. Like
I don't know about that.
look, I read it
I'm
on
gonna
the
need to see
internet,
the data
so
on
it's
that.
true. Okay,
Has to be.
it has to be true. No, it's awesome to talk to you finally, and good luck with everything. Good luck with the
Thank you
book.
so
That's
much for
awesome.
having me. Yeah, this was
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey, Christian, you know how it's kind of hard to make friends in your 30s?
Yeah, because you don't see anyone or go
Life just
anywhere.
gets complicated, right?
Mhm.
With kids and work.
Right.
Well, I brought some friends for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
who?
Demodex
Okay.
mites.
You shouldn't have.
They can just live with you, on
Just
you, all over
over.
you. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think? Aren't they cute?
Well, these ones are, but I don't think the real ones are quite this cute as the stuffed ones.
They'll listen to you. They'll listen to your secrets.
Oh, and keep
Yeah.
them locked away in their ribbed bodies.
So these little guys, they live on your eyelids, and they can cause a disease called Demodex blepharitis.
Yeah, like itchy, crusty, red, flaky,
irritated eyelids.
Yeah.
That's right.
No one wants that.
No one wants it, but it's important that when people hear this, they don't get freaked out by this.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get checked out.
True.
Right? Checked out, not freaked out. Because, come into the eye clinic. We'll talk to you about Demodex and Demodex blepharitis and see what's going on. To find out more, go to eyelidcheck.com. Again, that's EYELID check.com to get more information about Kristen's new friends here, Demodex blepharitis. Did that bring back memories of your time?
Labors and deliveries?
Labors and deliveries.
It did. That's I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I don't have to do it again. So I don't know. I think the labor and delivery nurses, I love them because
You spend a lot of time with them.
You do, and it's a very scary, vulnerable position to be in, and they're always there taking care of you. And you don't get people to take care of you a lot as a mom, and so it's nice to go somewhere where someone's taking care of you. But you said
I did my best. I don't know.
you did a good job. It's just they're more qualified.
I get it. Yes.
But you said something that I thought was interesting and worth bringing up, which is, and it's not untrue, but I think there's nuance to it. You said that we were talking about the power dynamics and the differentials and hierarchies there, and you said patients and anyone in healthcare. And I just think that's interesting to think about, like to pause on, because part of that feels not right to me. Like I know your point is I just said it, it's a very vulnerable position to be in as a patient, but that is not all that it is. Like you are also still a person with agency.
Well, sure.
And in some ways, it should be the other way around, right? That the healthcare providers are there to help the patient.
Yeah.
The patient should be in charge in some ways, right?
Yeah.
It's their body, their life, their experience. And so I think looking at it that way is just a little too simplistic if it's like they are lower in the hierarchy. I think it can have some dangerous implications if healthcare providers are considering themselves to be above, excuse me, to be above the patients.
Yeah,
right?
I guess. I definitely don't think about it that way. I see what you're saying.
But I think it's both at the same time. Like there is this like responsibility, privilege component to it, that you are taking care of someone when they are vulnerable.
I'm coming at it from a comedy standpoint. Like you don't make
for
fun
sure,
of,
comedy, right? You wouldn't do that,
Yeah.
but just like within a healthcare profession,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that it's that simple in that case.
Agreed. Yes. Good
So
point. Thank
I'm
you.
right as always, or
Yeah,
no?
just for them like 80% right.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Should we take a look at a story?
Yeah, I
Let's
love
do
the
it.
fan stories.
All right, so this story comes from Joseph. Joseph says, I've been following your skits for a while, but as a general surgeon doing locums work, I have delved deep into the world of podcast and realized that you had yours. I love it. I love the dynamic with your wife too. Since I started doing locums, it has been stressful on the family, but it is great to hear other physicians from our generation be real about it rather than push our families to the side. I love the nuance of humor and satire directed at our healthcare system. I think it does help to humanize us, and I think that it is what our generation of physicians has to offer. We want to have personalities and actually show up for our families rather than continuing working 100 hours a week while going through multiple divorces. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. On a humorous side note, in order to improve my penmanship for writing letters to my children, I bought a calligraphy book to practice. That may make for a good skit somehow. Letters from Dr. Claus or something. I will leave the creativity up to you.
Calligraphy is an interesting choice for penmanship. Like, are you writing letters to your children in calligraphy? I am intrigued. I want to know more.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's, it's good though, because my penmanship it's just gotten worse. It's really,
Yours just scribbles.
I have like my writing here on the page, and hardly anybody could read it. You could probably read it.
I can probably read it, but even for me, it's starting to get a little bit like you're not even trying to make letters.
But
you're just making marks.
I appreciate that that note from Joseph because I always love it when people like heap enormous amounts of praise on me before telling their story.
Yeah. You have a very fragile ego, so you need a lot of like positive reinforcement.
Send us your story. knockknockhi@human-content.com. And what a wonderful guest. That was so much fun.
Yes, she is
Check
a
her
blast,
out.
and she is intelligent, and you can tell she's a very good nurse.
Absolutely. Jen Hamilton on the social media, on TikTok in particular. And look out for her book in February.
Yeah.
It's maybe not coming out in February. I think she said it was.
She said she has a deadline to turn it in.
Deadline,
so it'll probably be coming out later.
But just follow her now so that you can get updates on when her books. I know I'm going to get it. That's definitely. I need to learn more about labor and delivery. That's a big part of it.
You do. I mean, you were there.
I was there.
Twice.
I still remember most of it too.
Yeah.
All right. Lots of ways you can reach out to us. Let us know what you thought about this episode about labor and delivery. And you can email us, knockknockhi@human-content.com. Visit us on our social media platforms. You can hang out with us and our Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok @Human Content Pods. We want to thank all the listeners leaving wonderful feedback and awesome reviews. If you subscribe and comment on your favorite podcasting app, we're on YouTube. By the way, new YouTube channel.
That's right.
Within the past month or 6 weeks?
Something. It's new at Glaucomfleckens.
At Glaucomfleckens. Multiple Glaucomfleckens.
Glaucomfleckens?
We'll just leave it at Glaucomfleckens. Okay. We can give you a shout out if you comment. At 8 Kinds of Blue on YouTube said, so before watching, I believed the fully formed baby eyes and the carrot propaganda. And now I know for sure glasses aren't like drugs. You don't get a tolerance. Thanks, dude.
Lots of eyeball myths out there.
I did an episode of Knock Knock Eye about eyeball myths, one of
Mm-hmm.
which being that you need to be just housing bags of carrots to improve your eyesight, which is not true. Just eat a normal balanced diet, and that baby eyes do grow.
Yeah.
You're not born with fully formed, fully grown adult eyes. That is a massive myth.
They are larger though.
Well, they
Proportionally
just look a
speaking.
little bit larger, yes.
Yeah.
But baby,
I don't mean physically larger.
Yeah,
Yes,
baby-
the appearance.
baby
is larger.
proportions are all crazy.
They are just chunky.
Full video episodes are up every week on our YouTube channel at Glaucomfleckens. We also have a Patreon. Tons of cool perks, bonus episodes where we react to medical shows and movies, hang out with other members of the Knock Knock Hi community. We're there. We're active in it. Early ad-free episode access, interactive Q&A, live stream events, so much more. Many more things that we probably haven't even thought of yet, but we're going to. Patreon.com/Glaucomflecken or go to Glaucomflecken.com. Patreon community perk time. New member shout out, Michelle W. Thanks, Michelle.
Welcome.
Welcome to our community. Shout out to all the Jonathans as usual. A virtual head nod to you all. Patrick Lucia C, Sharon S, Omar Edward K, Stephen G, Jonathan F, Marion W, Mr. Grandetti, Caitlin C, Brianna L, K L, Keith G, JJ H, Derek N, Mary H, Susanna F, Jenny J, Mohammed K, Aviga Parker, Ryan, Mohammed L, David H, Jack K, David H, Gabe, Gary M, Medical Meg, Bubbly Salt, and
Pink
Macho. Patreon roulette time. Random shout out to someone on the emergency medicine tier. Liana K, thank you for being a patron. We love the support. And thank you all for listening. We're your hosts, Will and Kristen Flannery, also known as the Glaucomfleckens. Special thanks to our guest, Jen Hamilton. Our executive producers are Will Flannery, Kristen Flannery, Aaron Cordy, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor and engineer is Jason Portizo. Our music is by Omer Ben-Zvi. To learn about our Knock Knock Hi's program disclaimer and ethics policy, submission, verification, licensing terms, HIPAA release terms, go to glaucomflecken.com or reach out to us, knockknockhigh@human-content.com with any questions, concerns, or fun medical puns. I've started shouting that part. I feel like it really helps. Does it help to shout? No, you tell me over and over again. It doesn't help to shout.
People don't like shouting.
Yeah, sometimes shouting is fun.
Happy shouting.
It could probably help birth a baby. Knock Knock High is a human content production.
Knock, knock. Goodbye.
Kristen, what would you say is the most important part of my job as an ophthalmologist?
Helping people see better.
That's a much better answer than getting home at 5 o'clock every day.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that part too. That's good.
But the most important part of my job is not clinical documentation.
Right. That is the worst part of your job.
I have to do it. It's important, but I like doing other things too, like restoring eyesight.
Yeah.
Talking to my patients.
Right.
Developing those relationships.
Looking at them in the eyes.
Yes. You know what helps me do that?
What?
The DAX Copilot from
That's
Nuance. True. Yeah, it's ambient technology, AI powered. It helps me actually like maintain those relationships. I can actually develop a rapport with patients that you can't do otherwise.
People tend to prefer it when you're looking at them when you talk instead of typing.
80% of patients say their physician is more focused with DAX Copilot. 85% say their physician is more personable and conversational.
Well, how about that? You could use a little help in that area.
I need a little boost from time to time. To learn more about the Nuance Dragon Ambient Experience or DAX Copilot, visit nuance.com/discover DAX. That's nuance.com/discover DAX. Thanks for watching the episode. You can find more on that playlist over there. If you prefer to listen or you just had your eyes dilated, you can binge full episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Or join the party over on Patreon, where you get early access episodes, hang out with us, get lots of exclusive bonus content. Help you subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think.